Welcome, listeners and viewers. This is the Glorioso podcast. I'm Elijah Vargas, the host. And this is the show where we talk to high schoolers about lifting, sports, their lives outside of school, and their future. I'm a senior at Bartlett High School, and I have a background in wrestling, running, and lifting. Today I'm going to be having Coach John G. Money Glorioso, and he's going to be talking to us about his life before being a coach, his life as a coach, and his different coaching styles that he implements in the wrestling room and everywhere else.
If I really wanted to be crazy, I'd buy like robotic wrestlers. High school, like for us, it's the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Romantic devastation.
Hey guys, this is Elijah Vargas from the Glorioso podcast, and I've got. Can you introduce yourself?
Get swole, baby. John G. Money Glorioso.
Yep. Today was actually the SAT day, so were you proctoring today?
I had the room helper with Mrs. Flanagan, so we did the PSAT for the sophomores. Tomorrow, proctoring for the freshmen, so very exciting stuff.
How did that go?
Boring.
Super boring?
Super boring, and it's sad because like part of it, like the test is so important, like the SAT like super important, but like we don't make it really important in school. So I could sense the kids like not caring, which is like, this might not matter now, but the SAT is super important, right?
Yeah, especially with the PSAT, people feel like a degree of like, this doesn't matter at all.
Everything matters, right?
And then you get to the SAT and you don't feel prepared because you skip like all of the PSATs and stuff. That's kind of my viewpoint, but I've taken like every PSAT that there was just because my parents. But
what'd you get SAT? Was it good?
Not really. I got like 1170, I want to say, which that's decent. Before I did worse, but it's not really. I want to get into, for right now, I think what a lot of my viewers want to see or hear is kind of like how you got to where you are now. What made you want to be a gym teacher, stuff like that. So I kind of want to start with like your childhood. What kind of things were you interested in doing during your childhood?
So my childhood, like super active. I loved to be in sports and playing games. My father was the athletic director for St. Patrick High School in the city, so we were always in like, I was going, basketball, football events, wrestling events, and I was always around sports. And I always played sports, always active. I did Boy Scouts when I was younger.
That's cool.
It's awesome. Great. Everyone should be doing it. Outdoors is great, being active outside. So I did that. But being brought up, it wasn't, like we talk about now, kids having struggle and kids having all this, but I didn't really have the best home environment that you would want. Typically you think teacher had a perfect home environment where, my parents were divorced when I was in third grade. And so that divorce kind of killed our family culture. So it's me, my brother, my mom, my dad. When my parents got divorced, it was rough because my dad was a sports guy.
Yeah.
And then my mom, when she had to go back to work full time, she couldn't handle that. Her stress and her emotions were all messed up. So she was never, again, she did a great job being a single mom, but she never really was there for us for anything. So growing up, I was always at my buddy's house, or I eat dinner at my friend's house. If I'm in high school, I go to their house, I stay over there all night, maybe even sleep there. But I really didn't have the typical suburban white person
family
upbringing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I saw my father every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I take pride in being I still was a pretty good kid. I was a little smart ass, I was a little jokester, but I always was hey, I do the right thing, I have fun doing it. And I turned out actually okay-ish. I would say so, but.
So going off of what your dad wanted, so was he did he want you always in sports? Did he want you to be busy in sports and stuff like that?
My father was always positive, you can do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to be part of, you can do. I support you. He really wasn't the guy that was we want you to do this.
Yeah.
You want you to do this.
He wasn't too pushy?
Yeah, I did soccer when I was younger, baseball, and I didn't do that in high school. But I was always involved with a variety of sports, and it's whatever you want to do, you can do. Now, the backside of that, too, is that I never really got the push to, like, hey, you should finish this, or hey, you should. So, for a perfect example, Boy Scouts, I didn't get my Eagle Scout award, right? Which, again, I regret it now, but I never had any of my parents be like, you have to finish.
Yeah.
Like, you're already to life or whatever with a gazillion merit badges. And that's when sports kind of go over. When I was in high school, like, oh, I'm in all sports. So Boy Scouts is kind of down the ladder. But I never had someone that would be like, you have to finish.
Yeah,
which I wish I did.
I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
That's something that like I've learned from, because I started in like, I have a martial arts background. So, you know, one of the like core tenets that you learn is like to never give up. So, I mean, before that, I kind of gave up and doing stuff, and but like afterwards, you know, even with like wrestling, I stuck through it like all 4 years, or I mean 3 years, but you know the COVID year kind of screwed everything up. But track and cross country, you know, I've done every year, and you know stuff like that. I don't really give up on stuff like that.
And that's a phenomenal asset to have, right?
Yeah.
You can be like, I'm gonna finish what I started.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of want to say, I want to ask, what was like your goal when you were a kid? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up, if you had one?
Man, like if I had a goal, it was weird. I never really was like, I want to be like a football player. I want to be like a star. When I was really young, elementary school, I always wanted to be like a dentist, which is weird.
Yeah.
So my grandfather on my mom's side, he was a dentist.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to be a dentist. He died before I was born, so I never knew him. So I kind of wanted to do that. That didn't really, suffice to come through. And then I loved engineering. When I was in high school, I loved problem solving. Big math guy, like puzzles, problem solving, building things. When I was younger, Legos and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So I actually did that, or being like a PE teacher, or into like physical therapy.
Yeah.
And then once I went to college, I did all my gen eds, and then I did one class of engineering, and I was like, screw that. Like F that. I could not sit down and like
focus.
So I'm ADHD, right? But so I could not sit there and be like, oh, I'll do this math problems for 4 hours. Like I can't. I had to be up moving.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that are like that.
But I never was like, I'm gonna be a PE teacher. I don't know if do I have to be in the video the whole time or not? I never was like, I'm gonna be a PE teacher when I grow up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see what you mean. Can we move into from your childhood? Let's move on to like your teenage years. What high school did you go to?
Buffalo Grove.
Buffalo Grove. I think I remember.
04, baby, Bison Pride.
I think I remember your brother saying that when we went there for the JV meet. Yeah, I think I remember him saying that he went there. So what were you interested in, like as a teenager?
Dude, like anything else, man. Lifting weights, girls, and lifting more weights and more girls. So high school, the best time of my life was high school.
Yeah.
Like I love college, but high school, like that was awesome. Like all my good friends now are still from high school, but it was pretty much go to school, go to practice, lift weights, so then we'd go to all the games. We'd go to all the volleyball games, all the basketball games.
Didn't matter what sport?
Dude, we were always at school.
That's cool.
We were always at everyone.
That's a good culture to have, though.
Oh, it's great. I mean, again, we were always at, and part of that, why I believe that, the whole parent thing I said at the beginning of not, having the whole big support system is that I was always at school.
Yeah.
I was always in some kind of
You're involved?
Yeah, and I was involved at school. So, and again, the more involved you are, the more you enjoy it. But that's how everyone was.
Yeah.
Like everyone was doing a sport or activity. We were always at school.
I think that's the difference between then and now is I think people just go home and then they stay on their TV or they watch videos and play video games and stuff like that. Back then I'm not trying to say you're old or anything, but
36.
Buffalo Grove has a really long history. From what I saw when I went there, they have pictures from they're way older than our school.
Oh yeah.
I think they've built on their culture and stuff. To where you're saying people just were so involved in the school. I don't really see that in Bartlett very much.
It can be a generational thing.
Yeah.
Right. So we had. I am old, but we had video games, and it wasn't we go home and It was the best thing to do. But we played it, man. Like, but it was at nighttime, like when you couldn't be outside anymore and you couldn't see anything. You'd go home and then you play video games. You know? Yeah. But it wasn't like it is now. We can just pop on some like headphones and be like, I'm playing with whoever I want to play with. I had to physically move and go to someone's house to play a game with someone.
Exactly.
Which again, that adds to the, that adds to it, right? Like it's convenient now to be like, hey Elijah, you want to go play Call of Duty? Yeah, sure. Let me hop on. I'll do it. That's convenient, but it takes away the whole like me going to your house and playing like with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good. Like sometimes I kind of wish that I was brought up in that generation because, I'm missing out on that kind of stuff. I feel like, especially with like the COVID year, everyone's just kind of disconnected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally agree. And I keep forgetting the COVID year. I keep forgetting that it even happened, or I didn't even think that you were involved in that.
Yeah.
But you were.
I was doing cross country.
That was your sophomore year.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. That was a crazy year. So during high school, what sports were you in? I know you said that you went to practices and stuff. Were those like wrestling or football?
Football was number one, right? And then I was another regret that I had was that I never did wrestling earlier in my career. So football happened. I was there for 4 years. Football, 4 years of track, and then wrestling. I only did my senior year, and it's my favorite. Wrestling, my favorite sport. Again,
that says a lot.
I just regret it, and I could have a little bit of like hatred or like guilt, or not guilt, but like it's sort of like stubborn. But like no one pushed me to try wrestling, right? Even the football coaches like now didn't even. That's our track girls outside, but even now they didn't like put, hey, you should do wrestling, you should try it, right? And I did it my senior year. And it just changed my whole life dramatically. My life went from, here to completely flipped around just by one season of wrestling. And it could be the culture, the coach, the sport itself, but like it changed my life. Right? And so I did 4 years of football, I did 1 year of wrestling, and then I did 4 years of track and field. So
you did do track. Were you a thrower?
So track I did, but I did everything.
Yeah.
Right? Again, track was my worst sport where I was like I was average, and we had 150 kids. So at BG, track was like huge, right? Track was massive. So we had, I never went to the invites. I never went to. There's no way. There's no way I was cracking top 8 in shot or disc, right? But again, shot I was 38. I think my senior year I hit, which again okay for a 5'6" short, stocky white kid. And then discus was like 125, I think. Well, again, not phenomenal, but it was good.
I think what's good is that you said you're in multiple things. Especially in track, if you're good at like multiple things, you're like a Swiss Army knife. I mean, if you're average at a lot of things, you're a good asset to the team, right?
Oh yeah, you plugged in. Like I did a relay. I was at 100 or 4x1. Again, not like varsity level state qual, but you plug me in wherever you wanted to, and I just do whatever.
That's good for the coaches too, right?
Oh yeah, because they'd be like, hey, we need someone. I'll do it.
Yeah,
for sure. But now it seems like, again, I don't know about the guys, we have a lot of girls. We do track now, but I just want to do one thing.
Yeah.
And I was the guy that was like,
I'll do anything.
Sign me up for 2 names so I can do 8 events. If I'm at somewhere, I'm gonna do shit. I don't want to sit down. Well, just freaking for wrestling. You don't want to go and wrestle 2. Hey, I'm there for 6 hours, wrestle twice. I want to wrestle 15 times. I want to do whatever I can if I'm there, right? Make the most out of your time.
Yeah. So, high school years, you got into lifting too, right?
Yes. Yes.
How often did you lift, and what did that kind of lifting look like?
Okay, so sophomore year, my buddy's dad, Jason, his father was like that dad that was that couldn't let go of his high school career. So he wanted his kid to be really awesome, and he was. He was a good running back for us. He was one of my best friends. But so he got a hold of Northwestern's football lifting program, right?
Yeah.
So he made some copies of it, put it in this cool little folder booklet thingy, and gave it to us, and was but it was gold. It was hey, this is. And nowadays we can just Google any football lifting program. But anyway, so as a teenager who was loving football, that like, hey, this is Northwestern's football lifting program. I'm like, holy crap, I could be like a college football player. Like, this is what I want to do. So we got that, and it was like gold. It was like the Bible. It was like, this is the Bible. So sophomore year, after our sophomore year season, we started lifting at World's Gym in Palatine off of Rand Road, and it was a 4-day-a-week program. So we would do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday would be lifting, and then Saturday was like speed training. So my buddy Jason, who's a running back, he'd go to speed training like Tuesday, Thursday nights. We come back and we do some of the stuff on Saturday because again I can afford going to speed training. So he would like write down what they did, and we just do it again on Saturday.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's a good friend to have. Too.
Oh yeah, but like so lifting, I lived at the gym. Like we'd go there. It was cool because they had the pool. They had it was like a poor man's export. Like you had everything there. So we'd go again. I'd go to either wrestling or track or whatever I had, football. We'd eat a snack. We'd go right to lifting, and then we would come back and either go home or if there's an event, we'd go to the event. But we'd be there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, just hanging out again, knowing the guys, doing whatever. And old school, like all
cool.
rusty weights. There's no ellipticals, no machines.
Just
they had machines, but it was like those, the old ones that the plates stuck together, rusted. You can't like open them up separately, like. But it was cool. The old dudes walking around naked, being like, well, again, like guys,
that's just how it was, though, right?
Yeah, but again, like you're in the locker room and like, again, as a kid, I'm like, these guys are just old bastards, but they just lived there, right? And again, you have some guys that were like, juicing up or doing the stuff that like, you'd be like, what the fuck? This guy's doing steroids. He's like 60 years old, but they had that there, and but yeah, it was like my our heaven, like our getaway.
That's
vacation.
Cool. Yeah, I think. Can we move on to like your adult life?
Oh yeah.
So you were talking about how you went from you were thinking about doing like engineering, and then that was kind of boring to you. What eventually pushed you to become a gym teacher?
So what eventually pushed me was like sitting down on that desk my freshman year in college, being like, you have to do this assignment for 2 hours because it was a night class. So it was like 6 to 7:40 with the class, and it was like, all right, we're doing 2 hours. I couldn't sit still for 2 hours. Yeah. Then I'm a people person. Like I love talking to people, I love helping people. Again, so that was my push, right? Either I love problem solving, but I also love like helping people. So like nursing, physical therapy. I'm like, well, where can I like get in contact with the most amount of people? And so my teaching. So because my dad did driver's ed PE. Until he was an AD. So like I had it in the background, but never was like pushed upon me to do that. But again, going to St. Pat's, going to all their stuff, I'm like, this is the environment I want to be in. Like I want to be in this environment.
That's cool.
So that's kind of how I got into being like PE teacher.
And is that the same with driver's ed?
Same thing. Mostly I got driver's ed because it was like I'm more marketable. So So
it's the same kind of thing with track, right?
Yeah,
that you were talking about with that.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty. I have more options. So 15 years ago when I just started teaching, it was impossible to get jobs, like super hard.
Yeah.
So it was like I got to be more marketable, this and that. Luckily enough, I did get a job right away out of college, and now it's like the opposite. Now it's like it's hard to find teachers and blah blah blah. But anyways, that's how I got into driver's ed.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, what got you to go to Bartlett though?
What got me to go to Bartlett? So I was at Gray's Lake, and I left there because I wanted to make more money and come down somewhere else. I got cocky. I was like, oh, I'll just find a job. I'm awesome, young teacher, do this. Couldn't find a job that I wanted to be in, so I had to be an aide for Glenbrook North High School, not Glenbard North, Glenbrook North High School. I was an aide there for a year, and then I came to Bartlett. So Mr. Brawl, Mr. Kim, he was our athletic director at Gray's Lake Central. He knew me. He taught at Elgin way back in the day. He knew Mr. Brawl. That's kind of how we got networking.
That's cool.
So,
so from that move, when did I'm going to ask about your brother? When did your brother move to Bartlett?
Okay,
was it like the same time or?
No. He was way after me. So he was like, I kind of saved him, right? So I think I saved his life because he was at Normal. So he went to he's student taught at Normal High School or Normal Community High School, like West or something. He was there, and I don't know, he's like 25-ish maybe he was when he was out there. But again, like you go to college on ISU, Normal West is at the ISU little area, Bloomington. So it's like, oh, you're cool. You can like hang out with the college people still. But now you're getting to the point where like you're like old dude that's like hanging out in college bars. Like no one wants to see an old guy there. So I'm like, dude, you got to come back up this way.
Yeah.
We had an opening for PLTW. So he used to be the old wrestling coach here. Mr. Cody. So Mr. Cody, he was retiring. He knew my brother through conferences. He didn't know that we were all connected, but finally, like him and I connected like the dots. And I'm like, hey, like if you're retiring, get my brother up. So he contacted my brother. He actually got hired, like I think just through phone.
That's cool.
Here, like just like, hey, like your brother John's pretty decent, and Mr. Cody said you're a pretty darn good teacher. Like, okay, like.
I think it's cool having your brother like in the same kind of like work environment as you.
It's really nice. It's convenient, right?
It's convenient,
so, like for example, like we both have dogs. So like he's got a game tonight. I don't have a game tonight or a meet, so I'll pick up his dog from daycare, and it'll cost some extra money. You know, so it's convenient. But like we don't see each other a lot. Like everyone thinks that we always like see each other. And
yeah.
We're just so busy and so far on opposite ends of the school.
I get
that.
You
know how it is. Like some days I don't even see you.
Thing, yeah, it's the same thing with me and my brother because you know we're senior and freshman. Like it's kind of like I'm not gonna say it's the same thing, but it's similar. You know.
But like your brother's super lucky to have you. Like as an older brother. Like I didn't have an older brother. Like so everything that I had was just kind of just like well whatever I thought. And again I think it worked out great. But him having you is like super awesome. Like you should be lucky. Make sure you thank your brother.
Okay, so I kind of want to dive into like your coaching style a bit because you know I coming from like a cross country background, I think your style is like very like energetic and it's unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain like some of the drills that you've had us do during wrestling or like I don't maybe other sports, but like where do you get like the inspiration for these kind of like drills and stuff?
So most of the stuff, again, like if you have good coaches that like will like look into stuff and like want to like improve like anyone else, like they'll find new things to do, and I'm always trying to like improve and get better. Right?
Yeah.
But high school sports, so I've coached 11 years. What's 11, 12, 13? I've coached probably 40 seasons. Whether it's football, wrestling, and track, right? Which is a lot for a 36-year-old guy to be like, I've done this many seasons. But in high school sports, you can bring out your level of like how well you can do with conditioning and lifting and like work ethic, and your mental capacity could overcome a lot, right? Again, NBA, the best players are the best players, right? But in high school sports, like if you have buy-in, if you have got kids who want to lift and you're in shape, like you can win a lot, you can do a lot. Like, and again, that's what makes people better individuals when they get older, right? Like, like I'm not going to be in the NBA, right? You're not going to be in the Olympics for track. Like we know that, but you work hard, right? And hopefully, my philosophy would be like, good things happen to the people who work hard.
I think I know what you mean. Like you're just building like a mindset of like a hard worker, and that's something that you can apply to like anything that you want in life. That's kind of like what you push us to be in like wrestling, or I don't do girls throwing, but it's probably like the same type of thing, and same thing with football. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's different. Wrestling is like that's my like
personality.
Yeah. That's like
who
that's
you are.
what I do. Like work hard, like undersized guy, like just grind out victories, grind out life, grind out. And again, like I told you before, like when I was younger, like I had to grind out life. Like when I was younger, like I could have been completely opposite end of the world, just because I had no like push,
no direction, right?
None.
Yeah.
Right, and I somehow grinded out my way, and I came out like this, which I think is successful.
It's fine. Yeah, it's good.
Right, and so philosophy, I don't have like I can't like be like, oh, my philosophy is this, but like just good things happen to people who work hard. Like, that's it. Like end of story. It's so simple, so simplistic, but that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, I think that kind of. So I want to mention this one drill that, or not. It's not really a drill. It's more of like a punishment that you had us do. But it kind of pushes us to go to practice on time. So you would have us do like burpees, times 10 times whatever however many minutes we're late, right?
Yeah.
So can you explain what gave you the inspiration for that?
So inspiration would be like burpees suck, right? Like, but again, side note, when you lift or work out, the worst things that you hate are the best things for you, right? Like, again, do I hate sprinting 100 meters or do I hate running 4 miles? 4 miles is worse than sprinting, but which one's better for me? Anyways, dude, everyone hates burpees. Especially teenagers, they hate burpees. So again, just be on time, and if you're not on time, it's 10 burpees. I think it's 10 burpees a minute, but it holds people accountable, right? And even in track, we started doing it. Like once we started outside, closing the gates, right? Closing the gates, like you got to get here, like just get here.
Exactly.
Again, everyone, and no matter all mammals, right? They always try to push whatever they can do, right? Like if I'm going to be, if it's 3:21 or 3:20 to be on time, I'm going to try to get there right at 3:20, maybe 3:21. Right? What can I get away with, right? So the punishment is just like, get here on time. Remember? Dude, we used to have like Sminar do like, he was doing like 140 burpees, like, because that was your, what was that? Your
freshman year.
Freshman year? Yeah, he'd be doing like, you show up 30 minutes late, but he'd do them all.
Yeah, that's insane.
Right? And that's that background, right? And now you run up against kids that kind of like, they might not do the punishment, right? They might not, or they'll cheat, or they'll do whatever, which in wrestling, we don't have a lot less of that. But it's, I don't know.
I think it just teaches you, because I mean those are like tenets you should take with you for like future careers and stuff. You know, just like being punctual, having like a stronger mindset to where like you're not late and you like respect the coaches. You have like discipline. You know what I mean?
Well, again, like I can give two shits. Like if you like respect me, like I love it. Like it's not gonna ruin my life if I go home and go like, oh my god, this kid. Again, I talk about all my athletes. My wife just like, shut the hell up. Like I don't want to hear any more about Elijah or whoever it is. But like when you get older, like you have to be on time.
Exactly.
Like you have to show up. You can't be sick. You can't when you have a kid, which again, God forbid, is gonna be hopefully many years down. But like you can't like. I'm not going to feed my kid. I'm not, you know, again, it sounds almost like idiotic that you're even bringing that up, but it all matters, right? Like,
yeah, it does.
And the kid, now that it's cool because now that I'm 36, the kids that I see, so Sunday I was at church, I saw 2 kids that went here, successful, engineering, one guy's still in college, but like, hey, thanks for, you know, pushing my ass and telling me to show up and do it. Because it matters. That's cool, right? Yeah. So, and when I'm seeing those kids that are like successful, and like are like, hey, like, thank you, I appreciate that. That's what it's like. Oh, it worked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, it worked, right? But now you still have to have some kind of internal motivation as a kid or an athlete or whoever, a student, to somehow buy into what the adult's saying or me or whatever. And I try my best to be like, I'm connecting with you guys. But again, it's got to be like a tough love. Yeah. Tough love, baby. It's a good song. Almost like Romantic Devastation.
Oh yeah, can we talk about Romantic Devastation?
Baby. Romantic Devastation.
Oh yeah. So there was one day in practice that he brings up this thing called Romantic Devastation. Can you explain it a bit? Do you know how to explain it?
I don't even know what the hell. We were doing some drill.
Yeah.
I forgot do you remember what we were doing?
Okay, so it had something to do with you're like face down on the mat and you've got your opponent's leg like this.
Okay.
And then you were just talking about how every single time that one of us were in that position, we're just like, ugh.
Yeah, yeah, all right, so got it. Single leg, so again, I have one leg on the mat. And I'm talking about finishing a single leg where a lot of, I can't be long in here to be strong. I be nice and tight and be in, and like knee slide.
Yeah.
Like a knee sliding in, like nice and tight. But we would get it, like we had so many guys that would just, like the sophomores, did a decent job, Barton. They get it, and they're not quite strong enough, and they just slowly, and then like you just sit there in the chair, and we just start like, we'd always cry. It'd be like a soap opera. Yeah. So Romantic Devastation, where it was like it was beautiful. The shot was beautiful, but then like just started just cry, and then it broke off. And then we got cross-faced, and we're like bleeding and we're losing. So it was a Romantic Devastation.
I thought that was probably like one of the funniest parts of the whole season.
Well,
you were talking about Romantic Devastation. We were like, what is he talking about? And then you gave us the picture in our mind of like us going like this and then letting go and like, duh.
Yeah. It's like Titanic, right? When Leonardo DiCaprio was like, I love you, and then you go let go of it. Like it's what it was. Like it was so close.
That was, oh my gosh, I love that. So can you? I want to. So what was like the difference in coaching from wrestling and football and girls throwing? I kind of want to. I'm just curious. I want to know.
So when I was real young, we had one of my older coaches told me that like working with females is like woodworking. It's like building like a cabinet and like filing and sanding and different staining and like hours and hours. Where coaching males is just like taking a 2x4 and stapling it together. You're done. So that's changed, right? Now everyone's a lot more sensitive. You know, everyone's got different issues they have to work around. But I don't know. Like girls track to me is pretty much a sport, right? Like I hate saying the word laid back because that's not. When I was the head coach for girls track, like I didn't want that. I didn't want it to be a laid-back sport compared to wrestling.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for those of you who want to be good and want to win and kill at track, you had to treat it like wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But there is that time where it's like not as intense, especially for wrestling, right? Like, so it was more of a laid-back approach for me, right? I honestly kind of like, I enjoy both different things, right? Like wrestling, it's the best sport ever. You get the most out of your kids. You put so much time into it. The more time you put in, the better you are. Track, you know, your spectrum's only so.
Yeah.
Right. Like
so, there's an element of talent that kind of goes in with that, right?
Yes. And there's an element of
size.
talent that goes into everything, right? Same with your intelligence level. We were talking about SAT scores and everything, but like my spectrum of success is this long, right? In an effort sport in wrestling, right, I can get a little more out of it.
Yeah.
Which, again, me, right? That's me. I'm 5'6". Like I'm not, but I get more out. Where track, like no matter what event you're in, like your spectrum of like changing is this much, right? So it's more about just I don't know, it'd be more laid back, I guess you'd say.
So there's a speech that you gave towards the end of the season. It kind of goes into like similar to like that mindset. It's more like of a how to navigate. You were talking about how. I don't know if you saw it on like a podcast or something, but you were talking about how as people we should, or especially as like teenagers, we should like pretend that we are our parents, like and go based on how we would raise our kid, right?
Yeah.
Can you kind of go off of that?
So you're probably too young and like you don't want to listen to this podcast, but Jordan Peterson,
I love that guy.
Awesome dude.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where it came from. Where again, he's a little far-fetched out there where like people might think he's, I don't know, super conservative.
Yeah.
Is the word?
Yeah.
And
I know what you mean.
he might offend people, but like his stuff is just science, right? Like
most of it is rooted in science.
Yeah. You know, I mean, so his book, The 12 Rules for Life, that I listened to that podcast, right? And I think it was his Joe Rogan special, which you should listen to.
I think I've listened to like all of it.
But that's where it came up. I don't know if it was the book or I don't know what it was, but it was just like you have to take care of your home before you take care of someone else, right? Like my home has to be set. You remember him saying that?
Yeah.
So like you build your own home, right? Like my home can be built out of like brick and mortar, or my home can be built out of like paper,
Straw.
right? Straw, whatever it is. Like whatever it can be. You can build out anything you want, but like you're the person doing it. So same thing. Are you okay with what you're doing? Like if I'm in charge of John, if I'm John's dad, am I gonna allow John to do what he's doing? Or am I gonna be embarrassed? Or am I gonna tell him, hey, don't do that? Hey, which is a weird way to think about it, but like if you're your own parent, like are you okay the way you're raising yourself?
Yeah. No, I actually took that advice, and that's kind of what I brought into doing this podcast, because I realized that a lot of the stuff I'm doing, like, it's kind of just a waste of time, like playing video games, doing other stuff, and I'm like, okay, how is this going to benefit me in the future? Okay, if I start a podcast, you know, I'm watching a lot of podcasts. That's something I could bring into my future, and maybe I could be successful from it, but like, you know, at least I'm trying.
But like, think how much you could learn off of like talking to different people, right? Like,
Yeah,
going, like
exactly. That's the whole goal of this.
It's unbelievable what there's anything you can find is out there, but listening to podcasts or doing your own podcast is like even like so we're in Florida for spring break. We drove down with Joe Rogan, listened to 3 of his podcasts.
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't texting driving, and I had my wife like, hey, like write this stuff down. But at the end of 3 podcasts, we have like, I don't know, like 200 notes of like stuff that we want to look into.
Yeah, exactly.
But we would never know if we didn't listen to it.
Yeah,
right. Like
I listened to so many like the other day I was listening. Actually, earlier today I was listening to this podcast with like former CIA agent. Actually, 2 of them were former CIA agents. I can't specifically remember their names, but they were talking about the war in Ukraine, talking about China, talking about like they go into like the most obscure topics, but it completely changed the way that I view like those specific topics. Like. Personally, I didn't really have a viewpoint on like the war in Ukraine, but they kind of changed the complete way that I thought about it. And I was thinking like if I didn't listen to this podcast, I'd just be like going with everything that like the news says, or like I just kind of I don't know.
You don't want to do that with the news says.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like you just open yourself up to even more things, and you don't need the best ones are like the one you listen to. Like it opens up your own. Like now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Now I want to find out more information. I don't need to be told what to feel. I can go do my own thing. I have my own feelings and have my own whatever.
Yeah. So how was it? During the COVID year, how was it like coaching during that time?
It was super short and hectic, but it was okay because I think we did football. The fall was in the winter, pretty much. Like I think right after like winter ended, and then I did everything. Track and wrestling was at the same time, so that was rough, right? Like I think you just did track, right?
That's all I did. Yeah. I to this day I wish that I did wrestling.
Which again, it's hard. Like we had guys doing, Brendan did like baseball and track, but we had like schedules of like spreadsheets of like what kids are gonna go where, who's gonna do what, and like, but even track it's hard, right? Like you need to get mileage in. You have to like there are different energy systems, right? They correlate a little bit, but training wrestling and training distance is a little bit different. Anyways. It was hectic. It was okay. Again, now I do all the research and look at it, it's kind of like, I can't believe we freaking did all that stuff. Like, I can't believe that. Which, again, I'm not trying to, like, belittle anyone's feelings or diseases or people got sick and stuff, but...
I think, that's one of the things they were talking about in that podcast that I listened to. They were talking about, like, they were explaining how in the U.S., since we were, like, the first world country to have, like, a response... Every other country followed us, but like if you look at what China did, where they were like literally cementing doors shut and like putting on hazmat suits, nobody followed them. The U.S. did something, and then now we're looking back and we're like, that really screwed up our economy. What we did to fix our economy was we entered that war with Ukraine, which I think that's a crazy way of looking at it because. Everyone says war fixes our economy and stuff. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but
isn't that crazy though? I don't. Again, I'm not a big economic guy or politician, but like it's weird how deep some of that stuff goes.
Yeah.
Like how you always think of it being like a movie or being like a TV show, but like it's like real life stuff,
and it's real people's lives too.
Yeah. Like I don't. It's that's a whole nother can of worms we can open and like talk about. But it's crazy how like the government might not be like all for the people, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy.
They put like financial stability and like economic. They want our economy to be like at least close to the strongest economy in the country, in like the world. And stay a first world country over like. I mean, we're not sacrificing our lives in Ukraine, but we're literally sending weapons to Ukrainians.
But there are. I mean, there's guys that lost their lives over there. Guys and girls.
And those are still people. I'm not saying that they're not. They're still people.
Yeah, and it's sad, but that's just the reality of what it is. Like
it's pretty crazy. Okay, I just want to. What if you? I wanted to ask this question. I thought it was kind of funny. Oh, if you could purchase anything for our either wrestling program or anything, and money was not an issue, what would you get?
All right, so if I could buy anything, realistically, like it would be those freaking mat holders from the gym, so we didn't need to roll the goddamn mats out of the tunnel every time we wanted to use them and roll them all the way through the cafeteria, then into the gym, where we could just roll it up, and then like these big lifts come down, and then you roll them onto there, and they go back up in the ceiling.
In the ceiling? Oh, yeah, that's cool.
It hangs in the rafters, so you don't need to roll it like we do. Like that's the realistic thing. But if I had to buy anything, I don't know. It'd be cool to buy like a new like a dojo, like a new like a attachment to the school that had like all wrestling mats. It had a section for like this used to be the wrestling room down here.
I remember.
And it'd be cool if you look at it, if we had like you split the room in like. I don't know, you have 2/3 of this would be all wrestling mats, and then you have a third with a shelf, and then you put like spikes and airdyne bikes and like jump ropes, and you could have like stations, and that'd be kind of cool to add.
That'd be awesome. I think that's cool.
Or if I really wanted to go crazy, I'd buy like robotic wrestlers. so I could program in like what exactly I want them to do, and they would do it, and then
we wrestle the robots. Right?
You would wrestle the robots, and then we get some what was it, IT?
Yeah.
Like Terminator shit. Like they would like start like killing us, and then like World War III would happen. It'd be like these Terminator wrestling things that we made. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be awesome. Okay, I want to end this podcast with actually either lifting advice or just plain life advice.
It's all the same.
It's all the
It's
same.
all the same, man. Lifting advice and life advice. So I appreciate you having me on. It's great. I mean, I'm excited to listen to all these that you do. I've listened to a couple of them.
Thank you.
No, it's cool. It's cool to have this because, again, you see people and you get to know people a little bit different than just in school.
Yeah.
Especially in our school setting, right? Like, hopefully people watch this like, oh, like, I didn't think Mr. G had that upbringing or whatever it was. But life advice, so lifting advice would be, it's always easier to stay in shape than it is to get in shape. Right? And I'm kind of going through that now with myself with like, in mid-30s, like, my eating isn't the best, and I'm struggling with this. But again, like, you're always grinding out whatever it is. So always stay in shape versus getting in shape, right? That's the workout advice I'm on. And lifting matters. Like, lifting saves lives. It's the most beneficial thing you can do is lifting weights. Again, I run, I swim, I bike, I do everything. I've done marathons, but again, lifting is the number one thing that you can do in bang for your buck that'll get you the best results that you want to have. Whether it's building muscle, bring it back. And then life advice is just it's kind of weird, but like just don't sleep as much. Like, just put that in. Like, I just thought of that now.
Yeah.
Like, people are just like, get outside, man. Like,
Yeah.
the world is so beautiful, and like nature's awesome, but like if you spend your life inside a house or inside a phone or inside a bed, like, you're losing. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had his motivational talk.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think we played it, but like it said something about like, if you sleep, people sleep 8 to 10 hours a day. You add that up, or he only slept 6 hours a day. Again, like, that's how I am. If I oversleep, if I sleep past 6 hours, I'm like lethargic. If I get a good amount of sleep, like, 6 hours or less, I can still work out, I can still go to school, I can still have energy when I come home. But like, don't let your life kind of waste away. Like, don't let it just go away.
Use your hours to like the most. Use your hours to do something that'll benefit you the most, and don't like waste other hours. I think I did listen to a study, or I didn't listen. I read a study. Funny thing was, I think this was on an SAT like a few years ago. It was talking about sleeping, and it was talking about how like teenagers get like the least amount of sleep, but apparently teenagers need like the most amount of sleep out of like any age group. We need like you said, 8 to 10 hours. But as you get older, especially with like if you're literally like elderly, like those are the people that need the least amount of sleep, which is kind of, I found that kind of interesting. But yeah, even if you're getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep, there's still a lot of hours that a lot of people waste.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying sleeping, but I always hear, as a teacher, you always hear like, I'm tired. What are you gonna, like? Hey, what are you gonna do this every class? I'm always like, hey, what are you guys doing this weekend? Sleeping.
Exactly. Like that makes me so
it's
mad.
Like, wait, what? That's what you did?
That's not.
That's what you're excited about?
You're gonna brag about sleeping?
Well, hey, and then we can go dig deeper into like, mental health and all other stuff. Like, yeah, if you're buried in the bed in the pillow with your computer or your phone or whatever. Like, dude, go outside.
Exactly.
Like, don't waste your hours. Like you said, don't waste your hours, and you know, it's cool.
I think that's a good note to end it on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hell yeah, that was actually really, really awesome. I thought it would be as fun, but it was fun.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Shake hands. Bam! Look at that. Swole's the goal, baby. Swole is the goal.
Of course. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Goal is Swole podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like and maybe check out our previous episodes. If you want to stay up to date on our future episodes, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications.